Tattoo artists of Reddit, what's the most awkward tattoo you've put on someone's body? Welcome to the jungle on a dude's butt. Needless to say, it was quite hairy. Shaving it was fun. Also posted this before. Didn't actually do it, but a guy called wanting the Monster Energy drink logo right above his Johnson. Asked if we had any gay or open-minded artists. Acquaintance of mine has a Monster logo, not above his dong though. Was working as a lifeguard one summer when I noticed one of the other guards had a tattoo of what looked like balloons and confetti toward the waistline of his suit. What's the story? Here I ask innocently. He answered with the sad air of somebody filled with regret, who had clearly answered this question a number of times before. Sigh. It's a party. In my pants. There's a party in my pants. Okay, let's not talk about it. So basically there was a party in his pants but you weren't invited. That's cold. One of the bouncers at the nightclub I used to work at has a T-Rex tattooed on her vagina. Do its roaring open mouth as her cuter. I bet that was awkward. When I was getting my first tattoo, the man who was there right after me was getting Atlas holding up his left butt cheek. The tattoo artist found it hilarious. That's actually a great tattoo. Tattoo artist here. Two younger girls came in a few months back. They wanted matching Harry Potter tattoos of the simple little lightning scar on their wrists. I finished them both up quickly and it was all good until they put their wrists together to get a photo and I realized that these two blonde blue-eyed girls had just gotten a pair of Nazi SS bolts. Yeah, are Nazi, Harry. Had a couple over the years. I once had a guy come in because his cat had died that day, so he had the cat's name, Tuppence, date of birth and date of death tattooed on his bum cheek. His best friend, who had never met the cat, came with him and had the words "Frick Tuppence" tattooed on his bum cheek. Also had a girl with learning difficulties accompanied by her carer and family get a Westlife, Irish boy band, memorial tattoo when they broke up. She already had JLS, another awful boy band, and High School Musical tattoos, and was very willing and pleased to get her tattoo. She became a regular, though for less embarrassing tattoos. Had a guy pass out getting a Star Wars tattoo and pee himself. He came around a few seconds later. We asked him if he'd like to continue or go home and get cleaned up. He wanted to carry on, so sat through the rest in his pissy jeans. Never came back. Got a few more if anyone is interested. My tattoo artist used to have this guy come around the shop all the time begging for a free tattoo. Finally one day he agrees, as long as he can pick the tattoo. So on this guy's calf, he tattoos a large image of Steve Urkel with a huge erection. While traveling in Portugal I met an Englishman who told me about his tattoo, and why it was a bad idea. Apparently he had met a girl and had taken her back to his place. They start getting physical and she begins taking off his pants so as to follow him. She pulls down his pants and sees above his dong a tattoo that reads "Does your dad know you're here?" She then quickly gets her things and immediately leaves. In England they call that an own goal. A lady I knew had a camel tattooed on the underside of her big toe. When at parties or anywhere really she would say, "Wanna see my camel toe?" She thought that crap was hilarious. But that is hilarious. I know a girl with a tramp stamp that says "Ride and Cowboy." She recently got remarried and her new husband is not a fan. He must not be a cowboy. I have seen a Star of David ensconced about the anus of an obese man as if to guide weary travelers home to those mossy clefts. Perhaps he was hoping to snare homosexual neo-Nazis in his bear trap. I'm not an artist, but know someone with an awkward tattoo story. A long time ago ex-girlfriend of mine had a best friend that was pretty well known for getting around, and at one point she started dating my ex-girlfriend's dad. There was about a 30-year difference between them, and she was only 17 at the time. Anyways, long story short, she went to 5 different tattoo shops trying to get the word daddy on her butthole. Yes, I did say on her butthole. 4 shops turned her down before the last one would finally do it, and I believe he charged her something outrageous like $500. I haven't talked to her in about 10 years, but if anyone's GF wife has daddy tattooed on her butthole, tell Rachel I said hey. TL. DR. Girl dates best friend's father and gets daddy tattooed on her butthole. DDDY. I was a tattoo artist in the 90s. This girl came in and wanted a tattoo of Mickey Mouse in her bikini area next to her snatch. Not really a strange tattoo, until we talk about this woman. She was huge, at least 6 foot tall and a good 400 pounds, 28 to 29 stones. Most of the work I was doing was based on the size of the piece. My boss didn't really care as long as I turned customers over quickly and made sure they were happy. The Mickey she picked out was about 2 by 2 to 3x 2 inches. Generally something like this back then would go for $70 to $90. For anyone that hasn't gotten a tattoo, the process goes like this. 1. Pick what you want and get a price. 2. The artist preps the stencil and sets up his gear. 3. Expose the area you want to get the tattoo and get shaved. 4. Put the stencil on. 5. Get on the table, chair or whatever and get ready for ink. 6. Artist positions themselves and then stretches the skin around the area where the tattoo will be done. This last step was where things got awkward. This 2-inch Mickey Mouse turned into a 1-foot Mickey Mouse, a piece that I would normally have charged $150 to $200. It was huge. The skin in this area was so stretchy, so much fat flab. I couldn't get the skin tight enough. I had to get another artist to come help. Something that should have taken about 30 minutes turned into a 2-hour ordeal. Again, not really a weird tattoo, but the situation was really awkward. My boss came over in the middle of it and said to the girl, "You're so fat. If you break that chair, you are going to pay for it." My boss didn't give a fuck, but I was awkward seal. I used to work in a busy walk-in shop on Haight Street in San Francisco, a very popular street among tourists. I had a guy come in wanting a Grateful Dead bear, wearing a Cubs uniform, holding the Haight-Ashbury Street sign as a baseball bat, 420 as the jersey number with World War II on the bottom. Yeah, no, in honor of his grandpa. Nailed it. His grandpa's probably dang proud. Not an artist, but my brother got a tattoo of Matt Roloff, "Little People, Big World," with the words "I may be small, but my heart is tall." Not a tattoo artist but a football player of my favorite team has a tattoo saying "You mean everything to me." Must have been pretty awkward to realize halfway through that you have forgotten an H. No darling, you be calling the Reddit psychic hotline. I tell you everything. This dude I know is absolutely insistent that, when he gets out of the military, he's going to get an enormous unicorn that covers most of the front of his torso, and it's gonna be rearing up and biting his nipple. He's talked about it very intently, both drunk and sober. I'm worried that he might do it. I am worried that he won't do it. When I was at my tattoo studio, there was a man who came in and wanted a realistic eyeball tattooed on each of his testicles. That would sting. I know a girl that right above her vag has "speak friend" and enter in Elvish. Incredibly hot, and never have I been able to put my knowledge of Lotta to better use than then. I worked as a tattoo artist briefly while seeking a full-time job after college. Some redneck came in wanting to propose to his girlfriend by getting a tattoo of himself on one knee with the words "Will you marry me" below it on his lower back. The idea was that he was going to turn his back to his girlfriend and get on one knee in front of some other girl, exposing his proposal tattoo to his girlfriend. It was a stupid idea. She said no. At least it's reusable. I had a tattoo artist friend who tried to talk a guy out of getting a very muscle-bound cartoon shark holding a surfboard tattoo. The guy insisted, and my friend says it was the dumbest tattoo he ever did. Oh, and there was a guy who came into the shop once asking for fists, holding monies, bleeding. Best friend is a tattoo artist in training. She was in the shop as an intern, and this lady came in asking for "I don't take any crap" on her rib cage and a little pile of dookie. A guy I worked with had a tattoo of a rooster in a noose with the rope wrapped around the top of his calf. He literally had a dong that hung below his knees. That's genius and disturbing at the same time. XGF had an outline of butterfly wings on either side of her vagina. Had to be a really shady artist. BC, she was only 16 when she got it done. Clean lines though, no detail, but still pretty well done. The guy that did mine said a guy came in and wanted his dong tattooed into a lollipop. The thing was, he wanted the tip tattooed red and the shaft to say "lollipop when hard." Think about that. The guy had to have an erection during the tattooing in order for the word lollipop to show. Must be a real winner now. OW. Some guy from my country lost a bet and went to a tattoo shop and got a McDonald's receipt on his arm. Kids these days. Not a tattoo artist, but my friend got a unicorn freaking a narwhal with a rainbow background on his head. I'm on mobile and tech illiterate, but if you Google unicorn freaking dolphin tattoo, it's the first picture on Google Images. Adopted cousin went to meet a real sister for the first time and they decided to get matching tattoos. They went to their real father who had just gotten out of prison. While in prison, he learned how to tattoo and got a tattoo gun once he was released. They both now have large unicorns on their biceps with sisters in a banner underneath. God bless Texas. My tattoo artist had a newly married couple come in and his parents came in with. They paid for them to get a tattoo as their wedding gift. It was a penis chasing a vagina. I saw the guy with an anatomical heart tattoo on his chest above his physical heart. What set this tat apart was that it included a penis emerging from a vagina that was in the middle of the heart. This will probably get lost, but anyhow, I'm not an artist, but a mate of mine tried tattooing himself. The idea was to tattoo the word Scarface. He was in so much pain he stopped before finishing. He is now, and will be forever, known as Scarf. I'm dating a tattoo artist and she once had 3 guys come and get the same tattoo. They all got a maybe 4-5 inch dong playing a banjo with arms and a face on their butt. All the artists have a bet going and the loser has to get the dong banjo on their butt. Not freaked up, but I felt bad. So I'm the offender, not the artist. I wanted a cancer ribbon over a tattoo I had. Got everything set up. He offered to touch up the old ink too so it looked right. About 20 minutes in he drops the big question, and I knew it was coming. I thought I was ready. So who is the tattoo for? My husband. Oh. Hope he makes it. He passed away. Deep breath. I made it. It's okay. Then, after 2 minutes of silence, I started bawling. I felt so bad for him to be in such an awkward situation. Needless to say, I tipped him well. Not a tattoo artist, but I used to work as a lifeguard, so I've seen a lot of bad tattoos. One stuck in my memory, however. The dude had a freaking 2-foot wide tattoo of the moon from Majora's Mask right in the center of his chest, angry face and all. It was in full color, read, mostly brown, as well. When I went to my tattoo artist to begin a new one, he was just finishing a tattoo spread across this guy's chest that said, "Frick your face" in cursive. My artist told me he wasn't too crazy about that one. Not the story of an actual tattoo that was made, but when I got my tattoo my mom was getting one also. Both first tattoos for us. She's definitely not tech savvy, but she knew she wanted a butterfly. So I told her to Google some butterfly tattoos and show the guy which one you'd like the best to get. So we get to fat cats in Jersey, and sure as crap my mom has printed out the first page of a Google image search of butterfly tattoos. I knew what I was getting, and since my ink was going to take a bit longer, the artist got another staff member to handle my mom's. But before this guy comes out, the artist doing my tattoo asks my mom what she wanted her tattoo to look like. She puts the paper on the counter of the parlor, but her person coat and crap are covering like most of the pictures, and she just says a butterfly like this. The guy looks at the picture, his eyes get super wide, and he says, "You want one like this?" Mind you, this tattoo artist was maybe in his mid-30s at the most. I was 21 and my mom is a middle-aged looking lady. He then snatches the paper from under the stuff and pulls out every artist out of their areas to show one of the pictures on the Google image search. He's laughing his butt off. My mom is covering her face, blushing and looking over at me embarrassed, saying, "What did I do?" Without even looking, I started laughing, knowing already what happened. My mom asked for a butterfly tattoo, and like the fourth image was a girl with a huge butterfly above her cooch. She still got the tattoo she had actually wanted, but it was a hilarious 21st birthday present. I asked my tattoo artist this, and he said a guy came in wanting Wile E. Coyote riding a penis rocket into his butt cheeks. It's never gonna work, Wile E. Coyote. That butthole was only painted on. While getting tattooed, I asked my artist this question. He said he wants tattooed Jesus riding a velociraptor playing basketball on some dude's thigh. This is what consent forms are for. I knew a guy who got a giant pictograph of the phrase "Can I screw you" tattooed on his forearm in our senior year of high school. I can't imagine the artist who agreed to put that there. Not a tattoo artist. Lived in a dormitory with a bunch of other fellows for military training. I had to go borrow some notes from a friend down the hall once. The guy was walking around shirtless and I saw the most distasteful tattoo ever to behold. It was Tigger jerking his tail off over a spread eagle Pooh Bear. Honey on the tail and on Pooh Bear. It was pretty insane. I'm a cashier at a mini mart and see all kinds of bad tattoos, but the worst one is by far the infamous cocksucker. This lady always comes in wearing a low tank top, no bra obviously, and has the word cocksucker spread across her upper cleavage. Above the word is a gratuitously veiny penis, complete with wrinkled saccage, that is coming all over her bottom neckline. My artist told me about a couple that came in for a piece above her vagina, after of which they jointly decided he should get his dong tattooed, leaving the awkward question of, do you want it to look normal when you are hard or soft? Together they said hard, so the artist has to leave the room so he can get fluffed. Then the works begins, until he needs more fluffing. The story abruptly stopped as the memory made the artist's eyes glaze over. Not mine but a friend's dad's story. Some guy maybe in his 20s came into his shop and asked for a MLP tattoo of Rainbow Dash. He didn't have a problem with it, but the only thing that held him back from doing it is the fact that he doesn't know how to draw a fricking My Little Pony. Person brings in reference pieces. Tattoo artist makes a sketch. Person approves. Tattoo artist makes a stencil and applies it to person. A guy I used to know had some pretty bad ones. On his back he had Teddy Roosevelt pointing and laughing on one side, and on the other side was Hitler. This thing was huge, it took up his whole back. On the front he had a giant vagina with a three-headed monster coming out and the words "See you in heck." He says it was dedicated to his ex-wife. This was also huge, it took up his whole chest. The monster was all over his chest and wrapped up around to his neck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.